year COVID-19 restricted movement, but this year it seems we'll be having what makes that marathon tick. Tell us a view of the observation and what we'll be expecting when we have the 2022 Access Bank Lagos City Marathon.
Okay, so for last year, it wasn't a total restriction. Yes, it was at the tick of the pandemic. So what happened was that we only had 300 elite runners running that particular year. So the Lagos Marathon remains one of the high-end marathons that have been able to weather the storm, even regardless of the pandemic. So for this year, like you said, things are as good as back to normal, and we expect a full house this time around. The 10-kilometer run that was actually cancelled last year is back for this year. So it's going to be a full house, like you rightly said, and we really expect the best. The organizers have been able to get some of the best runners across the world to come and grace this year's event. And so every other year, we are expecting new records at the Lagos Marathon, and I think this year will not be an exception.
Yes, the question on the lips of everybody is, has Nigeria prepared enough to upstage the Kenyans and Ethiopians? And because it's 7 years in the run, the 7th edition of this marathon. Will a time like that ever come? You've been speaking with so many of them, you know them, that have been doing so well, but will it be this year, or we still have a long way to go, since we are now having a culture of long distance race? But is it the time to upstage the Kenyans and the Ethiopians?
Okay, so one thing this marathon has done for the local guys is that it has given them a platform to rub shoulders with the best in the world. Ordinarily, most of them will have not been able to travel out to, say, maybe Boston or Paris or wherever, where the top marathons are happening. But this race has been brought to their doorstep. And so one thing I must first commend the local athletes. What they've been able to do is each other year, they've been narrowing the gap. I think last year or thereabouts, one of them actually broke into the top 10. And that is that's a good step in the right direction. So for this year, like you said, I've spoken to most of the top guys on the home front, and they sound so optimistic. Most of them were not around last year because the timing of the marathon coincided with the National Sports Festival. So we had a handful of them missing out last year, and so they are back fresh for the 2020 race. And one thing again one good indication I've seen is that most of them were able to arrive in Lagos. We have a couple of them that have arrived in Lagos as far as last week, trying to acclimatize themselves to the Lagos weather and the course itself. What we have in previous year is them coming like 2 days before the race, and that affects their overall performance. But this time around, they've been around for upwards of a week in town. And so I think all this, if you put it together, and the experience and the exposure they've gotten down the years, yes, I'm not predicting that they will win the marathon, but at least I hope to see one or two of them within the top 10 at the end of the race.
Yes, thank you very much. Before I let you go, one question, Tunde. From your own opinion, I think that should be a question for the medicals. And does this signify the end of the pandemic? Because we are going to have over 100,000 Nigerians gather at the same place. And it seems that the protocols will be observed. But this will be the largest gathering of any social function in Nigeria.
No.
What's your opinion on that?
Okay, so the organizers are still very much aware that, yes, you may have found a way around the pandemic, but that doesn't mean we should throw caution to the wind. Yes, we are not going to, the registration has been managed, unlike previous years that it is left for as many people that want to apply. This year's registration, nonetheless, have been managed. So you might not see the mammoth crowd that the marathon is associated with. And beyond that, strict compliance to the COVID guidelines is a must. when the guys that have been passed fit to run, those that have been given their kits to run, they've been told all that is required of them. So nobody is taking chances. Nobody is throwing caution to the wind. We still know that, yes, we have to be responsible citizens. So all these things are being put in place for this year's race. It is not just believing that it is all over and so we can do anyhow we like. No, that's not the case.
Yes, thank you very much. Viewers out there, if you are watching, note definitely that the COVID-19 protocols will still be observed. Thank you very much, Tunde Eludini, for being part of today's show.
Thank you very much for having me on.